I pretty much cold called Vince Gill. I got his number from my manager and was just like, I'm just going to call him. I was like, hey man, I'd really love for you to be a part of this. And he goes, yeah, absolutely. Come on over to the studio. I'm like, okay.
Hey, it's your girl, Emily Curl with iHeartRadio, and we've got something fun planned for you today. We're hanging out with country music artist Chris Young, playing our Wheel of Stories today. Chris, welcome. How are you feeling? Are you ready for the wheel?
I am totally ready for this. Here we go.
Now it's going to be fun, but first, before we dive in, we have to say congratulations. Your 8th studio album, Famous Friends, is out now. How does it feel to have this project out into the world?
I mean, it feels great for me, but it's been really funny to watch everybody comment on it because I feel like I've been teasing people for 4 years about stuff that's going to be on this project. And now that it's finally out there where people can go listen to it, couldn't be more proud of this project. So happy that it's out there. And, leading right into an album with a multi-week #1 song is always fun.
I was going to say, Famous Friends, I mean, one of my favorites right now. How does it feel, again, to have this song be #1, have so many people relate to it and love it?
It means the world to me. I mean, we wrote this song on the bus thinking about people that I grew up with that don't get called out very often. People that are famous in your life or in your hometown and maybe not necessarily for everybody else. So to have that sentiment and it just be a really fun song that people can sing along to, and finally be back out on the road playing it where I can actually hear people singing it back. It's been amazing. And, it ties right into the album, obviously, with all the guests and writers and artists and people that have been a part of it. So very cool.
The inspiration of the song, I grew up in small town Georgia, so I had some people in mind when I heard the song. For you, was there 1 or 2 people that really came to mind that inspired it?
Actually, if you watch the video, those are all friends of mine and Kane. None of those people are actors. So like when I say my buddy Brandon at the beginning of the song, he actually never goes by Brandon. He goes by Bubba. It's the guy that's in the firefighter outfit at the end because he is a firefighter. So
I love the red carpet for him too. That's amazing.
Oh yeah, they were like, hey, are your friends going to be comfortable in front of the camera? I'm like, I don't know about all of them, but this guy, 1,000%. Like he's good to go. All you have to do is be like, hey, act up, and he'll do it. So Megan, she's been Teacher of the Year 5 years in a row. She's also in the video. It's the girl walking the dog. I've known her since high school. So it was definitely a very real song for me, came from a real place. So awesome to see everybody else loving it too. The best reactions I got were actually when the song came out because I didn't tell everybody that they were named in it. So there were a couple people who called me up after the song came out on the radio and they were like, is that me? So it was pretty cool to see that.
Okay, well, speaking of famous friends, you actually do have a lot of famous friends. So we have them on this wheel. So this is our Wheel of Stories. So I'm going to spin this wheel. Whoever it lands on, I want you to tell me the first memory that comes to mind.
Perfect.
Are you ready for the first wheel spin?
Have at it.
Here we go. All right. First one is Mitchell Tiffany, and he's on this album. Okay, so tell us about this one.
So this is actually it sounds like a setup because I get to talk about this song at the end of a bar, but me and Mitchell have been hanging out for quite a while, just got to be friends. Had not really written together up until probably the last 12, 15 months, but we were talking with each other and we'd had this date planned to get together and try and write something. We went and met and we were sitting there talking about how we had gotten to know each other. And I was talking to Chris DeStefano. I was like, yeah, man, the other night, me and Mitchell were sitting there at the end of a bar, and I'm normally really good about catching things people say in conversation to make a song out of it.
Ooh.
I missed that one, and Mitchell goes, hey, that's the title. I was like, well, I mean, how do you turn that? He goes, sometimes that's where it all starts, at the end of a bar. And it just became this really, really cool moment. It was the very last song to make the record, but this song also with Mitchell being on there, I mean, it's why we named the album Famous Friends, obviously with all the collabs, but just such a cool moment and something that we could have missed had we not gotten together that day.
How long did it take for the song to write itself? Was it fast?
I'm one of those people, I either write something and it takes multiple days or hours, or it's really quick. I think this one was under an hour. Famous Friends was under an hour. It's one of those things where when we get on the idea, it's like, there it is.
That's amazing. Okay, let's spin again. We ready? Shout out to Mitchell for the first one. Here we go. All right, we have Craig Wiseman.
Talking about songs that took more than 45 minutes to write. When I wrote Voices, Chris Tompkins and Craig Wiseman are both on the song. Originally, it was just me and Chris. we had written the song, we had turned it in, it didn't have a bridge, the melody was slightly different, and everybody was like, oh, it's cool, it's a cool song. And it just kind of sat there for a little bit. And I got a phone call. He was like, hey man, Craig heard this in the catalog, and he was like, do you mind if I mess around with it? So for people that don't know who Craig Wiseman is, has written like most of your favorite songs in country music. He's one of those guys that just like constantly has this huge hit. Incredible person to be around and incredibly talented. So he was like, hey, I kind of want to play around with this song. And I'm like, yes, please go ahead.
Was that the first time y'all had worked together?
I'd never written with him before that. It was such an odd way for a song to come together, but he wrote this bridge and was like, hey, what do you think about this? I'm like, cool. We got together and did the demo session, and I changed part of the beginning of the chorus melody while we were recording it. And then when I turned that in, everybody was like, oh, this is it. And it was so cool of him to be listening through a catalog and hear that and pick that out. So it was a very, very cool moment for me. Now,
Chris, did you know that song was incomplete too? Did you feel like something was missing before?
I mean, once we turned it in and nobody was excited, I just kind of was like, okay, it didn't quite do the thing everybody wants it to do. You know, another weird thing about that song was we actually released that twice. Voices was my third single that I ever released, and it died at 37. And then Getting You Home was my fourth single, and it was like kind of like, hey, we're putting this out, but if this doesn't work, you're off the label, right? People forget about this. So like the first 3.5 years of my record deal, nothing really worked. Getting You Home ended up being a #1. Then we released a song called Man I Want to Be that was my first multi-week #1. And then Voices, they decided to put it out again, and it went to #1. So it's one of those really crazy stories that was definitely a really cool thing for me to be able to put that out again, because I didn't think you were allowed to do that. But it's only the third time ever in country music history that a song has been re-released as the same version, didn't work the first time, and then went to #1. On the other hand, Randy Travis, Backside of 30, John Conley, and Voices.
Does that ever make you want to re-release any other songs? Are you like, wait, I want to give this one a go again?
No, hey, we did it once. I don't want to test that again.
You can't jinx it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's spin again. You ready?
Yes.
All right. We have, okay, this is a good one.
You're like moving the wheel. Yeah.
You can't see me cheat, okay?
No.
I'm gonna cheat on a few more. All right, this is a good one. Here we go. Dream collab. You've worked with so many people. You have so many famous friends on the Famous Friends album. Who is next for you?
Carrie Underwood. I love singing with people that make me want to sing better. I've been really lucky, you know, over the years to sing alongside Cassidy Pope and Vince Gill and all of the people on this record. And it's a very cool thing to be paired with somebody who just has a fantastic voice, and she certainly does. And I've never gotten to work with her before. I've opened for her.
Have you guys met before? Oh,
yeah, I've met her before.
Yeah.
Never gotten to do a song with her. So that I would say that's on the bucket list.
That's next on the list. Okay, yeah. I love it. All those names you mentioned, we have them on the wheel too as well. So Here we go. I am cheating just a little bit. But first we got to talk about Vince Gill.
So I pretty much cold called Vince Gill. I got his number from my manager and was just like, I'm just going to call him. So to be fair, my manager at the time, it was Vince's manager. So I was like, hey, do you mind if I just call him and ask him about this so that it comes from me? It's not, you know, labels or you, like I just would rather do it myself. So I sent him the song, and then I called him. I was like, hey man, I'd really love for you to be a part of this. And he goes, yeah, absolutely, come on over to the studio. I'm like, okay. I called my co-producer at the time, who also, by the way, Corey Crowder, co-wrote and co-produced Famous Friends with me as well. So we still work together. I was like, hey Corey, he wants to record this at his studio. Do you want to go? And he goes, if you hadn't asked me, I would be angry with you. So me and Corey go over to Vince's house, go to the studio, and we sit down. I mean, he's got a wall of just awards, right? And it's just like, oh no, those are just over there in the corner. It's fine. We sit down and he sings harmonies on the song. He comes back in and he goes, hey man, I mean, I don't know if what I play is going to be exactly like the other guitars that are on this record, if you really want that. And I just went and pointed at the awards and went, I want you to play on this. And yeah, exactly, like bow down, because he is so good. And yeah, I mean, that just meant the world to me, because Vince Gill was actually my first concert I remember going to as a kid as well.
I love that. It's amazing. Okay, let's spin a couple more times. We have a few more. Here we go. Oh, we got RHETT AKINS.
I could talk about us writing one of them nights together, but I've already told a bunch of stories about writing songs with people every time someone's name comes up, so I'll tell a different one. RHETT is the only guy that I've ever accidentally helped move. I was hanging out with one of my other buddies in town, John Stone, and John called me up and said, "What are you doing, man?" I was like, "Nothing." And this is back before I was gone all the time or always doing something with work. He goes, "Hey man, let's go hang out for a little bit." I'm like, cool. He came by and picked me up in his Jeep. We're riding around. He goes, we're just gonna go over to RHETT's house. And I'm like, this doesn't sound like you didn't have anything planned. So we get there and RHETT's moving.
Like literally like moving.
He's moving houses. So him and his girl at the time, we moved their like bedroom. We helped them move the furniture, and we're like moving their stuff out and moving it into the new house. So we get done, and then me and John went out and we're, having cocktails and partying and having a good time. So come to find out later, RHETT goes, "Hey, I got to tell you the funny thing that happened the other night." And I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "So we're sitting there, we're laying CMTs on, or, something's on TV where they're playing music videos." He goes, "Your video comes on," and she turns to me and goes, "Hey, that guy looks like he's really nice. Is he a nice guy?" And he's like, "I hope so, because he moved this bed from the old house to this one. You met him already." I don't know if I'm supposed to tell that story either, but there you go.
Stop it. She didn't realize?
She didn't know.
You fully moved them. Like that was like, it was a day long.
Oh yeah, no, we moved their house. That was what John was trying to ask me to do by going, "Hey, are you busy today? Are you just like free? Let's go hang out." He didn't want to go hang out. He needed help moving RHETT AKINS.
Stop it.
Yeah.
I'm impressed with your skills, even though you didn't even know that you were doing it. Here we go. Yeah, we're going back. It's Kane Brown.
You're like, we're going backwards.
You know I'm cheating. Okay, we got to talk about Kane Brown. I love Famous Friends. I love this friendship.
So we met before he was even on Sony. I got introduced to him by a couple mutual friends that are songwriters and people in the industry. My buddy Josh Hogue, who I've written a bunch of songs with, actually, I think was the first person to kind of put us in the same room together. We wrote some songs. There's a song called "There Goes My Everything" that was never a single on anything ever, but it went gold just because people loved the song so much, which was cool. I've had, several cuts on different albums of his, and this was the first time I asked him to be on one of my records with Famous Friends. And he was the first person I thought of. I was like, this would be cool. And, we're not really singing harmonies over the top of each other in the chorus. We're singing the melody together, which is pretty rare to be able to do that and it not sound weird. So it was really, really so much fun being able to celebrate this song. And, I've had him on tour before. I've been lucky enough to be there from the beginning of his career and just see him completely explode and become the superstar that he is. So it's fun to be able to celebrate having a big multi-week #1 song with one of your buddies.
Yeah. Now, Kane too, what would you say is your favorite thing, maybe about working with him, but what's your favorite thing about him?
When I'm on his team in Warzone, he is, no joke, the best Call of Duty player in country music. It's insane. He could stream professionally. He's that good. By the way, if he's got any recordings of me, I didn't realize for a while he was going to like stream stuff while we were on. So it's like me singing stupid stuff in the background while we're playing. And he's probably got some embarrassing audio of me somewhere.
We'll get Kane to send us that. Okay, last one if you're down.
Let's don't do that though.
No, we need it now. Okay, here we go. Last one that I am going to cheat, and it's Porter, another Famous Friend. I had to. Tell us about Porter. What does Porter think of the new album?
Porter loves the album, obviously. Anything to do with me, he's locked in. Porter's my dog, by the way, for people that don't know that. He has his own Instagram. I've been yelled at by friends of mine that are artists because my dog has more followers than them, and he's verified. Just loves being on the road, loves. I lucked out. He's a German Shepherd and so good on the bus. His kennel's right next to the bed, sleeps next to me while we're rolling down the road, and being able to travel with a dog, would sound like a hassle, but he is great. Definitely more famous than I intended him to be when I was like, hey, I'm gonna post photos of him on Instagram. Do
you think fans get more excited now to see you or Porter when they're like at shows?
I mean, he's definitely prettier. He is. Let's just be honest. But no, I've walked him out on stage a couple times. It's always funny to see people's response.
What does he do? Does he like being on stage?
He's totally cool. He's fun being in front of a crowd.
Another famous friend. Wow. I love it. Chris Young, thank you so much for being here, for playing our Wheel of Stories, and congratulations again on Famous Friends.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And thanks for the time. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much for watching our Wheel of Stories with Chris Young. Make sure you stream his new album, Famous Friends. It's out now on iHeartCountry, and we'll see you next time.